Alright, let's have a little bit of real talk here. I don't think the next Elder Scrolls game is going to be set in Elsweyr. Now, why do I think that? Well, it's not because I hate Khajiit or I hate Elsweyr or I hate the idea of it being set there. I'm not saying that at all. I like Khajiit. They're cool dudes. They steal things sometimes, but they're nice. The reason I don't think it's going to be set there is purely from a development standpoint and a marketing standpoint. So let's talk about that. Again, I'm not saying that I don't want it to be. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be, just because of these reasons that I'm about to tell you. So settle down your hate comments. So getting on into it here, the biggest reason I don't think that the next game is going to be set anywhere near Elsweyr, well, possibly near it, I guess, would be that it just doesn't really make sense from a marketing standpoint for Bethesda. So hear me out on this one. When you're Bethesda and you're making this series, if you look back at the last couple of releases of their games, they've become more westernized RPGs, I would say, and they've appealed to a much broader audience than a game like Morrowind ever did. And that's so that they can capitalize on that casual audience and bring in a ton of money. And that's what they've done. The Elder Scrolls is a big franchise name now among most gamers. Anyone who's into single-player content has probably at least heard of it or considered buying it at the very least. So it's definitely worked out for them. Now, here's the thing with Elsweyr. It's not going to appeal to a lot of casual gamers. There's going to be a lot of people who are like, oh, I wandered around a forest in Skyrim, and that's cool because that makes me feel like it's somewhere fantastical, but I kind of have seen this in the real world. And then you go to Elsweyr, which is populated entirely by like 11 types of cat people. And we're not talking like regular Khajiit cat people. They're not all bipedal ones. You know, you got your bipedal ones that kind of look human-y. You got ones that look almost human-like. And then you got things like house cats and like tiger-sized ones that are all like completely sentient and everything, but they're just different versions of cats. And that's going to weird a lot of people out if they're not super into the series. Like, if you're watching this video, you probably are. That might sound totally normal to you, but for a lot of people, it's not going to. And that would turn them off, and I feel like that would really hurt their sales, and Bethesda is very aware of this, and they've been trying to make their games a little bit more simplistic. We've seen this with the release of Skyrim, and to a bigger extent, the release of Fallout 4. You add on top of that some of their odd religions and their addiction to moon sugar and things like that, it just becomes a bit overwhelming for the general player to have to experience. It's a lot easier to have a grounded universe with a couple weird things in it than it is to make an entirely out-of-this-world experience. A great example of this is the Star Wars franchise, because while there's a great amount of different types of aliens in it, some of them barely looking humanoid at all, it's always centered around mostly people, and the biggest population there is human, or at least very close to human, so it gives you some sense of reality that the viewer or the player, in the video game case, can relate to. So that, in my eyes, is the biggest reason that it's not going to be set there, or I don't think it's going to be. There's a couple other ones too. So going back to these different types of Khajiit, you know, the house cats, your tigers, your bipedal Khajiit, sentient, they're all sentient things, right? That means that you have to make different models for all types of them. They also have to be able to like talk and everything and fight and move and have all different designs. Probably a creation kit for all of them if they plan to let you play as any type of them. That's a crap ton of things to do for one of the races in the game. And you might be saying, well, they have Elsweyr in the Elder Scrolls Online, right? They do, but they don't include any of those races other than the regular-looking Khajiit. And that's kind of fine for an online game because there's so much else they have to work on as well. But if they were to set an entire game in the province of Elsweyr, they should probably make it as close to realistic as possible. Now, we can talk a little bit about the climates around Elsweyr and everything, part of it being forest and a big part of it being desert. Now, I can see those two things being in the game. Forest, climates, and deserts. Obviously, we've seen forests before, and if you've seen my actual location prediction video, then you'll know that I think the next game is going to be set in Hammerfell, and I think that's a better location for a desert, mostly for the reasons that I've talked about already. You know, it's less different models to create. You know, you're dealing with one race that people can relate to. They're more humanoid, and that's going to allow them to, you know, relate to the game and just feel less overwhelmed. Again, I love the idea of the Khajiit and the province of Elsweyr, their culture and everything. I think it's really interesting. The problem is we're probably going to have to experience that in small doses, at least for a while yet before we can reliably say, like, hey, this is going to appeal to everyone. And that's totally fine. I would love to see a DLC someday just go into Elsweyr, or a part of the continent that's probably got more Khajiit in it, so we could experience some of their culture and everything. I think that would be a wonderful event and a wonderful place to explore. But I don't see it happening as a mainstay in the series for at least 2 more iterations. How long is that going to take? Well, who really knows? It's been a long time since Skyrim, and it's going to be a while until the Elder Scrolls 6 anyways, so we could be waiting a while. What do you think about this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Just write out your comment legibly so I can understand. I'll reply to as many as I possibly can. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down it. That's cool. Whatevs. I am Patty Jack, and I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.